In the previous video, we saw how we can list our users in a POC template, and the result of that list of users is the result of a GraphQL query. And now we're going to create a new page where we can list specific information about a given user. So in light of that, I'm going to create a new root, which is going to be /user/:id. This is a changeable parameter in Express's root definitions, so I can replace ID with any sort of number. And then I can capture that ID and work with that in the root handler. And this is going to be a new root handler that we will create, and I'll call that user info. And let's go back to root, and now I'll write user info. So user info is going to also execute a query. So let's do const user info async request response. And I'm going to get the ID from request.params. And we say if there's an ID, then we'll do something. If there's no ID, I'm just going to return a status of 400 and send a message saying, please provide an ID. And this is just to make sure that an ID is actually added. And if not, we tell the users that we need an ID. You could do some additional things in here, like make sure that the ID is an integer and some other things, but we're not going to worry about that for now. So next up, we will create a query. So what is the query that we want to run here? We want to run the user query, and we want to pass in the ID that we got from the params object here. And then let's get the ID, the name, the car, and the ID, the make, the model, and the color of the car for a given user. So we want to ask for more information now. And since we already created this fetch GraphQL function, we can very simply just call that and say what we did before. So there's a response, await fetch GraphQL, and pass the query. And we're going to call a render method, and we're going to render a new POC template, which we'll create in just a moment, and we'll pass on some data, and that's going to be the user's data. So I'm going to save this, go back to public and create user.pug, and in user.pug I'm going to type in an h3 tag, and now I can access data.name. So we want to list the username here. And what else? Let's see. So if data.car.length is 0, so if there are no cars for a given user, then we'll print a paragraph that says this user has no cars. If data.car exists, then we're going to say, okay, list them. So we can say for car in data.car. And I'm just going to take car.make, car.model, and in brackets, maybe car.color. Okay. And I will also add a paragraph to the bottom to say, oh, that's not correct, and like that to go back. Okay, so this is, and probably I should have mentioned this earlier for POC templates, this is going to render an A tag with an href attribute like this with the text go back. Okay, so if you specify an element and then you put parentheses, and then I could put a list of attributes in here, and those would render the attributes for the actual element. So let's save all our files, and there seems to be an error here. Oh, I know what we're not doing. We're not actually, this should go inside the if statement. And we're not exporting user info. So let's refresh. Okay, now let's go back to our app, refresh it. We still get the list of the users. Let's click on one, and now we get this particular information here. Let's click on another person, and now here's a car, and let's click on another person and we get the car list. Okay, perfect. So we have a very basic front end that now executes some queries. Next up, we will go ahead and add some image upload functionality.